Hello and welcome back to Not Just Buildings. Now, you might be wondering, do I have the right podcast? What on earth is Not Just Buildings? Well, listener, I'm pleased to tell you that we have renamed Chamber Vibes to something that more accurately reflects the purpose of this podcast, which is to tell the stories of businesses, nonprofits, and institutions in the area of Bedford, Virginia, which we do by talking to the real local people working behind the scenes. Plus, the new name is pretty catchy, and it's inspired by longtime Chamber and board member Bill Moss, who always says that businesses aren't just buildings, they're people. Thank you, Bill, for your years of service to our chamber and business community. We appreciate you. Anyway, thanks so much for sticking with us as we grow, and if you're new to the podcast, we're glad to have you join us as we kick off 2026. Now, for our official introduction, welcome to Not Just Buildings, where we interview the local people behind businesses, nonprofits, and institutions in the area of Bedford, Virginia. My name is Foster Garrett, and I am the Director of Marketing and Events for the Bedford Area Chamber of Commerce, which is a membership organization whose mission is to serve as a catalyst for local business success, a convener of regional leadership, and a champion for a vibrant and resilient economy. However, before we get to the interview, I would like to highlight some of our upcoming programming and events. We offer a little bit of everything for everyone, so I encourage you to stick around to learn more about what's next. But if you want to just jump straight to today's interview, no worries. You can find all of our programming on bedfordareachamber.com, and I'll drop our phone number at the end of this episode, so make sure to listen all the way through. We have a very busy summer ahead of us, which is kind of unusual for the chamber. I feel like we normally slow down and get ramped up for the fall, which we are doing. We're doing a lot of prep work for the gala and our advocacy events and our Christmas market, amongst other things, because we're always adding on a couple other things. But July is getting a little crazy. So thank you to everybody that signed up for our Canva Basics workshop that will be next week. Hard to believe it's next week. We actually sold out of all of our spots. So we are super, super excited for that event. We hope that it will be very, very helpful for all of our beginners and intermediate Canva users to expand your skill set. Maybe some of our guests have never used Canva before for their nonprofit or small business or even large business, and they want to dip their toe in it and have us show them the ropes. And some other people might have been making some designs already, but if you didn't know this about me, my background is in graphic design and journalism, so I have a little bit of I didn't understand how easy it was for me to use some of like the sticky keys and group things and move things around and just take over the templates and other things until I started doing it last week for a member, and I was like, oh wow, there's a lot that we can show people. So I'm really excited for that event. If you weren't able to sign up for that Smart Networking event, we do have another one in July on July 23rd. And that one will be all about AI. So we're super excited for that event. It's going to be really, really interesting and hopefully very helpful for your business. It'll be from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. at the Bedford Area Welcome Center. And it is facilitated by Dr. Casey Myers, who is a professor at Virginia Tech. His work is all in the area of public relations and media and kind of the evolution of these things over time, as well as ethics. So we are really excited for this conversation with him. And there will be a practical component where all of our guests will be shown how to create very efficient prompts to get faster and more accurate results. So I'm very excited for that. If you're interested, please go sign up. We are kind of filling up quickly for that one. So that's exciting. We also have our annual Mix and Mingle at the ballpark on July 9th at Bank of the James Stadium. That will be with the Hill City Howlers, aka the Lynchburg Hillcats. That will be a super fun event. If you're looking for informal networking and you just want to come hang out at the game and eat some ball game food and meet some people in more of a relaxed setting, this is really the way to do it. And you're welcome to bring your spouse, your kids, bring a friend. It'll be a lot of fun, but this is member exclusive and you do have to RSVP in advance. We'll have 2 VIP skyboxes and you'll be on the list at the call box. So go ahead and sign up for that. I'm very excited for all these things. We have a lot of ribbon cuttings as well. We actually have one this Saturday to commemorate the 25th anniversary of Bedford Ride. We have one for the Bedford Area YMCA's new teaching kitchen on July 15th. We have the ribbon cutting to celebrate the grand opening of the Peaks of Otter Artisans Gallery on July 25th. So there's a lot going on. That's just the things that are happening in July. There's more stuff happening in August, September, October, etc., etc. So Like I said before, you can learn about everything I just talked about and more on bedfordareachamber.com. And you're always welcome to reach out with questions. The Chamber would love to hear from you, whether you're a Chamber member, a community member, or just a listener who enjoys our podcast. But that is enough from me. Without further ado, please allow me to introduce today's guest, Kyle Draper with Bedford Water.
Good morning.
Good morning and welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. And congratulations on the piece in Lynchburg Business about you and Kayla.
You.
I've had several people comment to me when they read it that they didn't realize y'all were just a 2-person team.
Yeah.
So that shows you what an awesome job you're doing, that they think you're like this team of multiple people and it's just the two of you. So congratulations.
Thank you so much. That's really sweet of you to say that.
Well, it's all true.
Thank you. Yeah, that was really fun. Emily Mook reached out to me about it. It was actually really interesting because it started with a radio interview that we did with them with Vista Media last December. And they were talking about how they've increased their circulation from 2 issues of Lynchburg Business to 4, and how it's all because of the great businesses in the region. And they were giving credit to all these other people. And I was like, you guys are celebrating an anniversary. You just rebranded. And you're upping the ante on everything that you're doing. You guys need to give yourselves a pat on the back. And Emily kind of thought about it, and she was like, that's really reflective of what the Chamber does too, because we try to promote Bedford. We try to promote our members. We have this podcast. We don't talk about ourselves. Like, we're always doing other things, but how do you build your own brand in doing that?
Right.
So it was really cool to kind of circle back around for that. And it was a lot of fun for me and Kayla.
Well, it was nicely done. So congratulations.
Thank you. Well, credit to Emily for doing a great job. We just talked a lot. Well, Kyle, can you just tell us a little bit about yourself and then about Bedford Water?
Okay. I'm Kyle Draper. I am the Communications Manager and Public Information Officer for Bedford Water. And I have been in that role for a couple of years now. Kind of like you guys, our communications team is a 2-person team. So right now we're cycling through vacations, so it's pretty hectic. But it's kind of self-inflicted, but we all need that time away to recharge. So we're in the middle of that right now. We were just chatting before we went on here that I got an agency background, so I really respect what Woody's done here and all that he's laid the foundation for and is evolving into. So now this is my first stint in full-time communication management, so I really enjoy it.
Yeah, well, you're doing a great job.
Well, thank you.
It's been really cool to see the trajectory of Bedford Water as it's kind of changed, especially with the name change.
Yes, well, that's something that's been a really big challenge. And, credit really goes back to my predecessor in this role, Cody Lawhorn. He drafted a strategic plan. He had rebranding as a goal. But unfortunately, when you start looking about bringing in an agency, you're looking at about a $50,000 to $60,000 investment up front. That's not counting all the other stuff. And, with us, probably 99% of our funding comes from rates. So we don't want to pass that expense along. So anyway, when Cody left, we brought in Gigi Selzner. She is a graphic designer. She has worked on publications and fashion publications.
That's awesome.
Been active in Fashion Week in Manhattan, and so she knows how to meet a deadline.
That's so cool.
Whatever. So I started looking at it. And I'm like, I think we may have the talent in house to make this work, so we don't have to pass that cost along to our customers. So we started looking at it, and we were like, I think we can do this. And so we put together a plan. Then a lot of people are like, why now? Because we're 13 years old. You got to remember we were formed a part of the reversion of Bedford City. And that's a very emotional topic. I mean, there's still some wounds from that now that I'll bump into when talking to folks that went through all of that. Not to mention, we're trying to figure out how to take Bedford City and the PSA in Bedford County and put these 2 separate water systems together. So branding was not anything on their agenda. In fact, our old logo was actually a placeholder for the website they were building at the time.
Really?
Somebody looked at it and it's like, oh, that'll be great. And so they plugged that in as a logo. Bedford Regional Water Authority was the name. I kind of joke. I think it's like a rite of passage. Everybody that comes along is like, okay, I can stack this logo so that it'll be more vertical, and nobody's been able to succeed yet. We all have spent like days to weeks working on it, and nobody's been able to do it yet. So we started looking at what we could do. And the other reason why we were doing it now, after 13 years, is so much of that original signage is really showing wear and tear. So we had to be replaced anyway. So we're like, okay, now would be a good time to do it. So we're not doing like a bank rebranding where, they have tarps over all the
Mm-hmm.
signs and one day it goes up. So what we're doing is as we have these signs budgeted to be replaced, we're putting their new branding on. As we rotate new vehicles into our fleet, they're getting the new branding. Also, Bedford Regional Water Authority. We were looking at the name. That's a mouthful for reporters to say when they're doing stories on us. It's just a huge challenge. So we wanted to go simple with it. Everybody has heard this joke 1,000 times around there. I really wanted some like inspirational name.
Mm-hmm.
And I was talking about, something like Everclear. I get it. It's already taken by alcohol or, a rock band, but something like that. And, but then we started interviewing other, utilities that had gone that route. And, we asked them, if you had to do it over again, would you go with the industry trend of having like a regionally based name like Bedford Water? And they all said, if we had to do it over again, I think we would. So that's the reason why we just tried to simplify it, Bedford Water. The name authority is really, it's off-putting to people. Nobody likes to be told what they can and can't do. And that's really not who we are. We want to be part of the community. So we're doing that. So it's been very successful. We've had really great feedback from it. It's had no impact on rates. So, we're really doing it and we're very proud of how we've been able to do it on a budget. So that's kind of the whole idea behind the rebrand and that's who we are.
That's awesome. And I see you've got the branded shirt on.
Yes,
repping it.
Yes, I've got the new one on. So that was one of the first things I asked since we put so much time into this. I'm like, can I get a polo? And so because we are, like I said, as we're swapping in uniforms, that's another one of those things. As we reorder, we're ordering new ones. But so you will still get to see the old one if you're a fan of the old logo. It'll be around probably for another year or so as we rotate things in and out.
Yeah, so that's awesome though, because when I first came to the chamber, I was like, man, I would love to change our logo or something. Like, it's very like basic, and even though it looks like it's a rectangle, it's really like an oval shape, and it can be weird to put on things.
Yes,
it's very frustrating. What you're saying about the vertical stacking, we can't do
graphic
that.
design.
Yes,
that's then Gigi. That's one of her things. Like, and that's one of the things we've tried to implement now is we've tried to be very open with all our different departments. And she's like, please come to us. If you need some help with the new branding, because any graphic designer, what they hate is when that logo gets stretched or
something's cut off or like, yes, you got to be protective of your brand.
Yes,
you got to be the brand guardian.
And so everybody has been really good about that. And that was one of the things, that Gigi did an amazing job. It's the first time ever in 13 years we actually have brand guidelines now. So
nice.
So anytime we're dealing with somebody external and they have questions, we can just send them that, and it helps out. So it's like I said, it was. I don't want to say we were taking our work home with us, but Gigi's 9-year-old daughter drew a picture and brought it to me, and it's Bedford Water. And this was even before we chose the logo, and it's really eerie how much her drawing is close to what we ended up going with as our logo. So
that's so cool.
Yeah, so it was all enveloping there for about 9-month process.
Yeah.
So anyway.
I love that though. I think this comes at a really good time too, not just financially and with the signs and everything, but with the strategic planning that you guys did a couple years ago, getting everyone at the company's input on who Bedford Water is. And then this now kind of reflects that. You talked about community. That's like a community environment service. Those are like the 3 really big things that I think came out of that.
Yes.
And I think it's absolutely reflected with your branding. That's awesome.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You guys do a great job.
Thanks.
Yeah. Well, you said that Bedford Water's been around for 13 years.
Yes.
There's probably a lot that's been happening over the past 13 years.
Yes.
And you have a lot more coming up.
Yes. And it's kind of crazy right now because, right now, I think the drought is on everybody's mind.
Yes.
And that's, and that's one of the things now I remember. It may not have been quite this bad, but a little over 20 years ago, we had something very similar to this. But the thing about it was we weren't in existence then. And so we built even though we've always been pulling a certain part of our drinking water from the lake, we built the Smith Mountain Lake water treatment facility. I think we're coming up on our 10th anniversary next year. That's on that. Crazy. Yeah, it's crazy how time has flown. But when we did that, we wanted to put in some conservation guideline framework that mirrored what the state has. So that's what we did. And so we have certain levels when the lake drops that we send out. Like right now, we're under a voluntary conservation initiative. And, people have come back, and this has been a very good question, because we try to tell everybody thinks that, like, when they see the water levels dropping, that it's because all these people in Bedford are drinking all of our water, whatever. And actually, to be quite honest with you, we take out less water on a daily basis than evaporates off of the lake.
That's really interesting.
Yeah. So we try to tell everybody that. And now all of a sudden they're hearing us say, you need to conserve water, whatever. Like, well, if you're not taking much water, why are you asking us to conserve? Which is a good question. But that goes back to where we put these guidelines in place that meshes with the state's guidelines, the Department of Environmental Quality, the DEQ. So we're really just the messenger. We're not the reason. We're just trying to get the word out. Hey, these levels are dropping. We're trying to, if everybody can voluntarily do this thing, if it keeps dropping, then the DEQ will put in some mandatory restrictions, which we're trying to avoid. Talk to somebody that's been getting daily updates on it. And we've kind of, with all these storms we've had over the last week or two, it's kind of bottomed out. We hope it's bottomed out, but it stayed stationary, which up until then it was like daily dropping. So, that's a good thing. We would like to see it start rising, but we're moving into some of the drier parts of the year. I was commenting with somebody earlier this week. I was able to skip some mowings of my lawn in April, and that usually doesn't happen till July or August. We just don't have that dry spring is what we had this year. So hopefully everybody pulls together and we work together. We can kind of ride this out. We'll get some rains. Hopefully, I don't want to risk any damage on anybody, but we'll get the rain from maybe a tropical storm, that moves through inland and gets us a lot of rain, not flooding or, any wind damage, but we can just get that moisture.
Fingers crossed.
And fill in. So that's kind of what we're hoping for right now.
Yeah, and that it's not really, I feel like it's not a local thing. This is happening all across the state. Even the governor was saying that we need to conserve water as much as possible. It is.
And that's one of the things with the DEQ. And I haven't looked at it in a couple of weeks, but I know they had put in everybody into a drought situation, except maybe 3 or 4 counties like in the southeast corner of the state. And they may be in that now, because I know they were like on the watch list, not advisory. So they may have been moved into that advisory range as well. So.
Man. It's pretty wild.
Yes.
I saw that you guys had a celebration for the Montvale water system becoming an official part of you guys recently.
Yes, that is a huge undertaking. It's been like a year in the process. How that all started, the Virginia Department of Health reached out to us about a year ago needing help. Thankfully, I'm not casting shade. Anybody that's on fiber, that's got fiber as their internet source is great. Unfortunately, in the Montvale community, not a lot of those lines had been marked properly when they were put in years and years and years ago. So what was happening was a lot of them were getting damaged, and we were having water main breaks. Well, people don't realize, but Montvale Water was a 2-person operation. I think I have a recurring theme here today,
2 people,
but that was, Bob Carnes and Betty Carter. And they had, been, and Bob, he had just retired from his real job over 22 years ago, was in the RV headed to the beach. And the current president of Montvale Water called him and said, "That's it. I'm done.
Oh, wow.
If you want to continue water service, it's on you." And so I think they spent one day at the beach, went back, and they have been running it. I mean, and these are people doing that in their retirement, and they're now in their 80s. So basically, with being a 2-person team and older like that, and I think a lot of people don't realize the sacrifices that they had made to keep the water flowing in Montvale for all that time. And it just came a time where it was just, with all these contractors hitting lines, there's no way they could stay on top of it. And that's when the Virginia Department of Health got involved and said, "Hey, we don't want this to become a crisis situation. Could you guys help out? Could Bedford Water help out?" So we went down there, and so for the last year, we've been providing maintenance support to them, and not getting any of the rate revenue that's been going to them. And they've been working with us. It's been a very cordial relationship, but we've had to go through this approval process, with the State Corporation Commission. The USDA had to have some input into the process. So finally, it just became finalized on the 15th of June. So we went down there, had a celebration of everything Bob and Betty had done for that community, and then also of the signing of the documents. So now we are actually billing. They're fully our customers now. And so hopefully they're getting more consistent water service. I know several of the folks down there had talked about the improvements. We've got a ways to go. They let us know that too. We were very pleased with the turnout. We had over 40 people there.
That's great.
And so you look like that's like over 10% of the total people that are joining us as customers. So we came back, took their feedback to heart, and we're working on ways to get better. So anyway, that was our celebration down there, and it's been a rough year, but we're really happy to get things started now. So
I'm sure that Bob and Betty are really excited too.
Yes, they can finally step away and have that vacation that they haven't been able to have for the last 20 plus years.
So, wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the reason why everybody needs to be really thankful to them.
Over 20 years?
Yes, they definitely had a servant's heart and, to do that. So anyway.
That's amazing. Were they doing all the maintenance repairs and stuff themselves?
It's my understanding, yes, they were doing. Gosh. Now, I think he may have recruited some help, from the community, but yeah, so it was a huge entertaining. Yes.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure that people will be very pleased with the service they're going to get from you guys.
We hope so.
Yeah.
So we're off on a good start. So so anyway, so hopefully they'll see the improvement and they'll be happy with the changes.
That's a huge increase to y'all's service too.
Yes.
Because I know from people I know in the water authority that you guys have to go out towards the lake to run routes, and now you have to go out to Montvale to run routes.
Yes, so we'll be doing a lot, and we've spent a lot of time out there too. I know, and that's one of the things talking about a servant's heart. We've been talking about with our human resources, with recruiting. For this line of work, you really do need to have a servant's heart. I mean, we talked about that with Bob and Betty.
Yeah.
And the reason it made me think about that was Montvale. I think we were out there at 2 a.m. on New Year's Day, replacing a pump out there. And so you've got to really love this or really love serving people to be out there like that, doing that. And so, so it is going to be it's kind of spreads us a little bit thinner. But again, we're replacing a 2-person team with a roughly 85-person team. So hopefully that'll help with some of the consistency and with outages.
Absolutely. And you guys have some other projects that have been recently completed as well.
Yes. We've completed the Winona lift station, which that is a really small project, but it's really important because it was a public-private partnership to get it done. Winona, when they closed, they had a private lift station that they used for sewer.
Oh, interesting.
And they actually let us. They just signed it over to us, helped us with that, which it says a lot for a business that's closing and exiting the community, for them to step forward and do something on their way out that will benefit the community that are no longer going to be a part of. Bison Printing was really, they're the biggest benefactors of us taking it over. So they contributed to the process. And most importantly, the town of Bedford stepped forward and helped us with this whole thing. So all these things, and that's the reason why we want to have a ribbon cutting later this summer to celebrate this, because, we've talked about before, and you had referred to it earlier, a lot of these things are not just a Bedford problem. We see them, we experience them at the local level. But right now, this aging infrastructure is a nationwide, I don't want to say crisis, but it's an epidemic because brief history lesson, we had the Great Depression. So, in the late 1930s, we had all these projects of infrastructure that we started, and the federal government fully supported those. And then when we had all of the GIs returning after World War II, there was another push to try to keep these guys employed, because a lot of them had given up careers when they were drafted to go in and to serve their communities. And then they come out and these jobs had changed and evolved. So they said, okay, we'll put these guys to working on the infrastructure. And then they came back in the 1970s and did some more support for it. And now, since the 1970s, nothing's been done.
Oh, wow.
So a lot of these pipes got a lifespan of like 30 to 50 years. And so we're really surpassing a lot of those. I think I've shared with you before, a friend of mine down in the Tidewater area tells us that in the last decade, they pulled up a pipe that had 1730 stamped on it.
I remember us talking about that.
And so, and you think about, okay, back to 1730, now you've got a lot of things like lead, galvanized pipes that we now know are dangerous. So there's a federal initiative now that we're part of. That's the reason why we've been reaching out to people wanting to know what their service lines are inside their homes, so we can get all these lead swapped out and get some new ones in there. So all of this infrastructure is failing. So we've got to come up with some of these private-public partnerships and be really creative in ways that we can update this. And the Winona project is an example of that.
That's really cool.
Yes. So yeah, that was one. We just completed the Ivy Creek project. That one, we talk about the Montvale being challenges.
Mm-hmm.
This one was supposed to be completed in summer of 24. Here we are 2 years later. We ended up hitting a lot of rock. I mean, it was just a Murphy's Law project. If anything could go
Oh,
wrong,
no.
it did. We had some blasting issues with some volatile gases that were trapped in the
Oh,
rock.
wow.
We had then at one stage, we had to close down Cottontown Road because the sample showed that the rock would be dense enough for us to bore under it, run the line under the road. Then when we started boring into it, we realized that wasn't the case. So we had to close the road for a couple of weeks while we tore the road out, laid the pipe, and then built it back. A lot of people were like, oh my gosh,
That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, VDOT just replaced that bridge. What are you guys doing? And it's like, it wasn't the bridge at all. It was actually the approach to the bridge where the issue was. So we really appreciate the residents in that area, their patience. A lot of the property owners, it was hard because, you're doing blasting and that upsets their animals and their pets. And so for them to be patient with us when we go through that process, we're so appreciative of. So we brought it online last week. It's now gravity flowing. The Lake Vista station is now offline, which that was a problem for us. Pumps kept failing there because they were so old. We had bypass pumps that were in place that a lot of times they would fail. They were rental units. So that led to some overflows, which led us to a DEQ consent order back in December, which, and of course the DEQ, they're a partner of ours. They've been great to work with us on this. They understand the challenges of our infrastructure. I think right now, just on the sewer side of things, we need to be reinvesting $7 to $8 million a year, and we're budgeting like $2 million. So we're trying to be as frugal as possible, so we don't have to impact rates. And that's so when people say, "Oh my gosh, my rates went up," or this capital improvement fee or whatever, that's the reason why is we're trying to figure out ways to spread this $2 million to meet this $7 to $8 million need.
It's really tough.
Yes. And so that was the reason why a lot of people may have seen a story on Channel 10 a couple of weeks ago about the DEQ consent order. One of the consent orders was actually from 2010.
Oh,
that was before we were just talking about us being for 13 years. So we inherited that one. So that's a situation where we've been working with them on that one for all this time. So they combined those two. They've given us time to make these improvements, which again, the Lake Vista's one was we were already working on that one. It just we ran into all these complications. It ran long. If we had just brought it in on time, then we probably wouldn't have ever had the second one. But anyway, they've been a great partner, and they're working with us. So hopefully we'll have the requirements of that consent order fulfilled in the next 4 or 5 years, and we'll be back in business. I mean, we already are, but everything will be good for them as well.
I think it's kind of interesting whenever it comes to planning and infrastructure, things take a very long time.
Yes, they do. And that's one of the things I've learned. I mean, we were just talking about, I've got an agent. I come from the corporate world, and you don't have any idea how long these projects take, to get it to completion. And then you get there and you look at these and you look at how long you go out and you do the groundbreaking, and then there's like 2 or 3 years later, you're back doing the ribbon cutting. And you realize, and then you're there every day, so you're seeing the guys go out and work on it, and bring it to fruition, and the communication with the contractors and everything to make it all come together. So it is quite a challenge, and there is no quick, easy fix to this. It's something we're just going to have to work for the long haul. One of our neighboring partners, they have a thing that they say that they replace 2% of their lines every year, which sounds awesome.
Yeah.
But that also tells you your challenge. That means that it'll take them 50 years to replace everything.
Wow.
So if you've got a 30-year life expectancy of what they're using, they've got to figure out on the back end, okay, how are we going to keep replacing this stuff and keep putting 2% new in it? So we're all having different approaches to this problem, and people are doing great with communicating to us when they see a line fail. And a lot of times people are like, why is it taking you guys so long to get this fixed? A lot of times, now we're not a big city, but you talk to anybody that's worked water in a big city, they'll tell you, where the leak presents may be a couple blocks from where
Mm-hmm.
it actually needs to be repaired. So that a lot of times the guys are out there trying to do this, Sherlock Holmes thing. Okay, now where do we think this break is taking place so that we can dig the right place to find it and to repair it. The repair itself may be really, really quick. It's finding it that takes a lot of the time.
I remember, I think it was last year you guys had a huge main break in town and you couldn't figure out where it was.
Yes, we were actually asking the public.
Yeah.
We knew our water levels were dropping, and so we were asking the public to do it. And one of the guys just happened to be walking. I mean, we were doing everything.
Mm-hmm.
And so he was walking and he found out the break was actually over top of a creek. So that was the reason why nobody was seeing the water. It was going straight into the creek.
Yeah.
And then but thankfully there was no negative impact on the environment there. That's the first thing you think about when treated water is going straight into a creek. But it was, and ironically, it was pretty close to our wastewater plant here in town. And so, but because of all of because of the sound of the creek, the sound of the noise by the plant, nobody could hear it. And so when he got out there on foot walking, he finally was able to find it. And so it was kind of a kudos to him for, okay, I'm just going to walk this line until I figure it out. So
literally walking in the woods until you find it.
Exactly. So,
and the video of it was crazy.
Yes.
It was a huge break.
Yes, it was. And like I said, our water operator we knew it was going somewhere because we could see that our water levels dropping. And so anyway, a lot of times, again, it is about community, and we like being part of the community. And sometimes we will reach out to the community and say, hey, we need some help here. Because we've had breaks, not since I've been here, but in the past where they've been found, we're the same situation. We've looked for them, whatever, and somebody's kids were playing, out and, and they said, oh, I saw this, and in fact, this year we had a major line break in a community, and the first person that called in, the reason why, they said their kids were out playing and they were like, came up and they're like, the creek is really, really high. What's going on? And they reach out there and they're like, oh, we haven't had rain, back to it's so dry. So they immediately call us and we get out there and investigate. And sure enough, that was how the first indication was person calling downstream from where the break had happened. That's
cool.
So
yeah, see something, say something.
Yes, exactly.
I know that you guys have some other projects, some that have been recently completed.
Yes. So we were completing Turkey Mountain. That's another one where we thought we were going to be done with it last fall. And then once we got it in, we had some programming issues with some of our vendors. So we're going to be bringing that online in the next month or so. That's going to be huge for us so we can keep customers around Turkey Mountain in water service. As a lot of people don't know, but the old town of Bedford, we still use their water treatment facility on Turkey Mountain.
Yes, and that facility is very interesting to look at. And we've talked about this, I think, on the last episode. Not to interrupt you, but I have to say this while I'm thinking about it. How now that we know that the infrastructure is there, we see like the little pump stations on the road and stuff like that. So I always like look out. I'm like, oh, is that a treatment facility? And I was driving through Amherst, and they have a carbon copy of Turkey Mountain.
Yes,
it was creepy.
Yeah, it's crazy. You go back to anybody old from that era, like late 1960s all the way through the 70s, same architecture, whatever. And it's really cool because it speaks a lot for the pride that Bedford took into their facilities and their infrastructure. Nobody will ever see that facility, but it's a really cool looking building.
It is.
It's kind of cool. But anyway, we've got some repair work to do to that. Again, talking about the same thing of failing infrastructure. So this booster station will allow us to take it offline for periods of time so we can make repairs without impacting the customers in that area. So that's thing. And of course, you're talking about you hear us say Turkey Mountain. We are, in fact, putting this station on the side of a mountain.
Yeah.
I mean, in the undertaking, I went out there the day we put the walls in. And it was crazy. I mean, we brought a crane in and we had to have...
Oh, you had a crane up there?
Yeah, we had a crane up there. And Gigi took a picture of the crane operator as they're lowering him down the side of this mountain. I mean, it's a huge incline. And they had two wreckers, or like the wreckers that can haul, that can pull tractor trailers. They're anchoring him as they're lowering him down. And you look in there and you can see the white knuckles in him. And you can just... A picture's worth 1,000 words. You can sit there and go, okay, I did not sign on for this to be a crane operator. But they got down there, they poured the foundation, they put the 4 walls in, they brought them in whole, put them in. It was amazing to watch. So we're really proud of that and everything that we had to do there. And again, it's just going to be a huge, opens up a huge opportunity for us to be able to improve the operation of that water treatment facility. So we've got that going on. And then finally, the last thing we're getting ready to start is Western Hills sanitary sewer line replacement. That's going to be another one that's going to take us a few years to complete. This one was actually, it started, I think the last time I was on, we were talking about the Earth Day event last year that we were having, and we'd actually put in an application for a grant, and it had been turned down. And Morgan Griffith was at that event. And
that was a big event.
It was a big event, and he was there. He took a tour of the facility, and he realized just how bad this infrastructure is. And so he told us before he left, he's like, hey, if you guys will resubmit that application by the deadline, I'll see if we can't do something to help you guys out. And so anyway, of course, the deadline was like on Friday, and this is Tuesday. So we're scrambling to get it done. Brian Key, our executive director, we didn't see him for like 3 days because he was working on it. And lo and behold, they were able to get us $750,000 of this last budget package that was just approved back in the spring. So we've got that. It's going to be, I think we need about 1.3 million to start the project. So we're pulling money from other sources. And
that's grants, a good chunk,
whatever. It's a huge chunk
compared to zero.
And kudos to Congressman Griffith for working on that. So he's done that, and I think a couple of people have questioned. You always see something like that, and that people always say, "Oh, that's pork to take care of their local communities, whatnot." This is, again, because of this infrastructure situation. It's not pork. Trust us, it's something that's really needed in that area. You think of Western Hills, that's the area, for people that don't know, out towards the D-Day Memorial, the National D-Day Memorial. So it's there. They're building a hotel in that area.
Yes.
So it's going to be huge, not just for the
There's a lot of construction in that area that needs infrastructure help. Yeah. Exactly. Okay. I didn't realize it was that space.
Yep. That's that space.
That's very important.
So that we're going to get that in there. So again, the town has worked with us on this because it's huge for them, again, in the area of economic development for that region or that area. So that's the thing that we're really excited about. We'll be getting that underway pretty soon. So I just going to kind of give everybody, we like to come on here maybe once a year and give some updates. And occasionally we'll talk Brian into springing for a podcast with Woody. And he can come on and tell in his own words about it. But any questions you have? You're more involved in the community than I am.
I don't know. That was a lot.
I know. I feel bad. I know we just talking.
Don't feel
we both
bad.
Like to talk, and so we
do like to. Yeah. No. That's all really good information, and I hear bits and pieces here and there about different things that are happening with the Water Authority and Bedford Water. My bad. I'm adjusting.
Yeah, we all are.
Yes.
So anyway,
but I think it's really good for people to know the different projects that you have going on and the challenges that you're facing, and because I feel like with like you guys are a quasi-government agency, which thank you, Megan Pittman, for teaching me that phrase.
I was getting ready to say that was very well said.
I know it's all Megan. It's all Megan. Shout out, Megan. You're awesome. But whenever it comes to agencies that are working with infrastructure, utilities, or even local government, I feel like there's a lot of myth busting.
Yes.
And people hear things or they think things, and they don't necessarily. This is something that I've found is really important, and this is the work that you're doing. When it comes to these government services or even nonprofits or agencies that are doing benevolent work, a lot of times they're doing the work, but they're not sharing the stories behind it.
Yes.
And so if you're not talking about it, nobody else is talking about it. And I think it's really important to share that information with people, not only so that they're informed, but so that they know, like, if they see something wrong with their creek and they're like, oh, the water's really high, this is probably what I need to do to address it. Or if I'm in a drought, what should I do with my water usage, or what is actually happening with my water usage?
Well, and that was one of the things when I came on, from my experience with the agency, and kudos to Bedford Water for being open to it. And it was one of the things I told them was, if we don't control our narrative, somebody will fill that gap and control it for us.
Yes.
And so, a lot of times when I'm on social media, I'll be reading not just in my job, but in other areas, and you read and you see people making comments, and it's not a failure on their part. It's a failure on our part, or organizations like ours in education. And that's one of the things that I just love about the Bedford community and the the couple of years that I've been here. In fact, I had worked in the area probably about 5 or 6 years ago for about 6 months and love the area. But one of the things is when I'm out at these community events and people come up to me with concerns and we have a dialogue about it, they're very open and reasonable to the information. It may not be what they want to hear, but at least they're open to, okay, now I understand why this rate is what it is, or,
Yes.
you know, why this takes so long to fix or whatever. So kudos for having a community that's open to education and open to knowledge and evolving. So I can't say enough about the Bedford community.
Yeah, there are great people here.
Yes, there are.
It's awesome. Well, Kyle, this has been great. Is there anything else that you want to add?
No, I think that's just it. We just want to thank everybody for their patience, and we hope that they understand, you know, that all of the reasons when they see, you know, we just had a rate increase go into effect in the last couple of months and last few weeks, actually. You know, we hope they understand. That's what we want them to understand, part of this educational piece, what we're up against as a community, and really more importantly, as a society with all this aging infrastructure. And that's what we're trying to do, is to make it better for them and hopefully leave it better for the next generation that comes behind us, so that they're not having to face these things that we are. And again, this wasn't something that our parents and grandparents wished on us. They just didn't know any better. I mean, everybody likes no new taxes or no rate increases, but you go for a while and stuff gets old and it breaks, and eventually you have to pay the price. And that's kind of where we are right now.
And everything's expensive.
Yes.
Very expensive right now.
Yes. And fuel prices are driving a lot of that. So anyway, we just wanted to say how much we appreciate the community and their patience and their understanding. And honestly, nobody is making out, you know, well financially off of this. I know it doesn't feel good when they pay that higher rate. Yeah. But just rest assured with a lot of these projects we've talked about that we're doing, that's their money at work to make things better. And a lot of times they're like, well, that's not my little community or my corner of the, you know, but that it does, you know, eventually it will be theirs. And so, you know, so it's something we've got to pull together as a community in order to make it better for everyone.
Absolutely. Well, if people want to get in touch with you, or if they need to report something or find out more, what's the best way to stay up to date with you guys?
Well, they can give us a call, you know, at our line, and that's 540. Oh, shoot, you would get, normally I can just spout it right off.
Communications manager.
Yeah, I know, exactly. But anyway, you got me on that. But anyway,
sorry.
No, it's quite all right. No, but anyway, they can go to our website. That's the easiest way. They can fill a contact form there. They can email me. It's kdraper@brwa.com. We're working on the
emails are a big change. Yeah. That'll be a process.
Oh, it's a huge process. My IT guy hates me right now.
Yeah, I'm not jealous of his job right now.
But eventually that will be bedfordwater.com. Don't go there now, but it's brwa.com for now. And anyway, go there. You can fill out a contact form again, or you can just go email me, kdraper@brwa.com. That reminds me, our consumer confidence report, our annual report that our water operations folks put together. We've got that out now. So if anybody wants a copy of that, please feel free to email me. We'll get a copy of them out to you. When they open their statements, there is a QR code that'll take them where they can view it. Again, if there's any issues with that, there's contact information in there where they can call and go from there.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. This was great.
Okay. Well, thank you for having us.
Of course, we'll have to do it again next year.
Let's plan on it.
You're listening to Not Just Buildings, hosted by the Bedford Area Chamber of Commerce and produced by Media Squatch. There are so many great people working together to make the Bedford area a great place to live, work, and do business. And we hope that by telling their stories, our listeners are able to become more connected to our community. After all, there are so many hidden gems, services, resources, and amazing opportunities just waiting to be seized right here in the area of Bedford, Virginia. If you like this interview, I have great news for you. New episodes come out every week, and we have lots of episodes for you to catch up on in the meantime. Episodes are available on Media Squatch Plus, as well as Spotify, Apple Podcasts, our weekly newsletter, Facebook and website, and anywhere else you can find podcasts. If you want to learn more about us at the Chamber, we encourage you to check out our website, bedfordareachamber.com, or give us a call at 540-586-9401. Thanks so much for listening, and keep an ear out for the next episode of Not Just Buildings.